Today you're going to hear from one of the biggest e-commerce figures in the Amazon space. My name is Connor and you're looking at Travis Marziani, who has been doing this for over 10 years now. He's made over $10 million in sales selling these products, and in this video, he's going to share the most important things that you should know before selling on Amazon. Make sure to stay until the end because the value you're going to get from watching just this one video, you can't just get anywhere. And Travis will reveal his big secret for selling on Amazon in 2024. It's basically the passion product formula all condensed down into 30 minutes. If you're into Amazon, you've most likely already heard of it, but I'm going to force Travis here to share with us some tips and tricks that are usually exclusive to his learners. But let's first off start off with a little bit about how you got into this. So Travis, what led you to sell on Amazon in the first place?
Yeah, so actually about 10 years ago, I had a corporate job. I hated my job. I realized that if I worked my butt off, I would get a 3% raise at the end of the year. And I wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to travel the world, live wherever I wanted to. So I quit my job, cold turkey, started my first e-commerce business, which was not on Amazon actually, sold on my own website, and that struggled. And it took a long time. I wasn't making a ton of money. And then one day I had a friend who was selling on Amazon and he was crushing it. And I looked at this guy and I'm like, I'm smarter than him. I'm harder working than him. Why is he having so much more success? The answer was he was selling on Amazon. I was selling on my own website. So I decided to create my own passion product, I call it. And this was called Performance Nut Butter. Worked my butt off on it. I invested, I cashed out my 401k. I put every last penny, every last drop of energy I had into this, because this was my chance. This is like my last chance. I'm like, do I need to go back to the corporate world? Am I a failure at e-commerce? And put everything I had into this business. And within 2 months of launching on Amazon, I was making $30,000 a month in revenue, $10,000 a month in profit. My first year, I did 300K revenue, 100K profit. Second year, 400K revenue, like 150K profit. And it was completely passive. Within 2 months of launching my business, I kind of stopped working on it because when I quit my corporate job, my goal was to make 6 figures passive income. And I had hit that really freaking easily. And so I'm like, all right, I have 2 choices. I could either set my goal to $1 million a year passive income, or I could go travel the world and have fun. So I spent the next couple of years just traveling, enjoying life, started the YouTube channel, shared with people like, guys, I found this crazy opportunity, which is creating a passion product, selling it on Amazon. And yeah, that's what led me to selling on Amazon.
That's incredible to hear. Now, that was also many years ago, and in the meantime, a lot of other shopping platforms have appeared. Is it still the case that Amazon is the way to go?
I mean, Amazon's the number one e-commerce platform. About 50% of all e-commerce sales happen on Amazon. Last year, I think they did $600 billion in sales. This year, they're projected to do $700 billion on sales on their website, meaning that, $700 billion is being spent on their website. Now, 2/3 of all the sales that are happening on their website are third-party sellers. It's people like you and me and the audience at home. It's all of us selling our products on Amazon. A lot of people have this misconception that everything being sold on Amazon is like Amazon selling it themselves. Amazon's a marketplace. It's a place where people go to buy things. It's something like, I think, 200 or 300 million Prime customers. There's 200 to 300 million people that are paying Amazon a yearly fee in order to be able to buy things on Amazon. So they have loyal customers. So yeah, there are a lot of different opportunities, and I'm not against Shopify, TikTok Shop. I think all of those are great, but the easiest and the number one player in the game is Amazon. Now, what I recommend doing is creating a product that you can sell on Amazon, that you can sell on Shopify, that you can sell in Walmart or wholesale and sell in TikTok Shop. And we'll talk about that in depth, but that's the passion product idea. Create a unique product, create something that people want, and yeah, sell it on Amazon. And the cool thing, and I'm sure we'll get into this, is Amazon will tell you what products are going to make a ton of money. So you can use some product research tools. There's a tool, Helium 10, we'll talk about later, that you can use to find products that people are looking for on Amazon to buy, make that product for them. It's so much easier. A lot of people, they start their Shopify website, they start whatever, and they don't know what to sell, and they sell a bunch of junk. So yeah, to answer your question, I think that Amazon, as long as there's people buying things off Amazon, there is an opportunity to sell things on Amazon, hands down.
So it definitely sounds like there's a lot of advantages to selling on Amazon and an opportunity that we shouldn't miss. So where did you begin, and where can others begin if they're watching today?
There are a couple different ways to sell on Amazon. There's retail arbitrage, wholesale, private label, and what I keep talking about, my favorite way, what I teach all my students to do, which is create a passion product. Those are the 4 main ways. So with retail arbitrage, you go to Walmart, you go to Home Depot, you go to retail stores, you find products that are on huge discounts, clearance products. And so let's say you find something that's selling for $5 at Walmart, but when you look on Amazon, that same product's being sold for $30, you could buy all the inventory that Walmart has. Let's say 10, 20, 30 of these little gadgets flip it on Amazon for the full retail price, and keep the profit. Now, the problem with this is you're constantly having to go hunt at retail stores. You could do this online. You can find, this is called online arbitrage. You can find online websites that have discounts, but still, every single day you're having to go find deals and flip them. And that's good. This is actually a really good model if you're brand new to Amazon, if you don't have a lot of money to spend and you just want to test, like, what's it like to sell on Amazon? Do the retail arbitrage, do the online arbitrage, but you're not going to make a ton of money, and it's definitely not going to be passive. That's a huge thing a lot of people don't think about is what we're going to teach you in this video is how to create a machine that's going to make you passive income. Because if you create a passion product, if you have one product and you keep selling it on Amazon, all you have to do basically is send an email to your manufacturer, order more inventory, send them into the Amazon warehouse, and basically you're creating this machine that's making you passive income. So that's retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. That's the first example. Wholesale is where you go to websites, I think globalsources.com, and you can buy products with a wholesale discount, meaning that you buy 100 boxes of detergent, and normally these retail for $30, you buy it for $15, you flip it on Amazon. You're using your wholesale discount in order to, make a profit here. Problem with this is if it's easy for you to do, it's easy for everyone else to do. So if you wholesale a product, what's stopping me from also buying that same product, selling it on the exact same listing? And the way Amazon works is every product has one listing. And so let's say I bought this box of detergent, I put it on that listing. Cool, for a while, I'm the only one selling it, but then you do the same thing, and then Cam down there does the same thing, and all three of us are competing, and now my sales got cut by a third. Also, there's nothing stopping the manufacturer from saying, hey Travis, I'm not gonna sell this to you anymore. I'm just gonna sell it on Amazon and keep all the profit. And this is like the next level of testing out Amazon. It's a little bit more passive than retail arbitrage because you can keep selling the same product, but it's scary. I mean, we were at Prosper, which is an Amazon convention, and if you would ask people what products you sell, the wholesale people, they won't tell you because they don't want you stealing their product. There's a scarcity mindset among those people. You ask me what products I'm selling, I'll tell you because I want you to go buy them. It's called marketing. So you don't want to be one of those wholesale people, in my opinion. Again, it's cool to test it out. Sometimes you get lucky. You can make money with this. The third option is private label, and this is something that used to work extremely well. It still can work well. You can still get lucky. You can find a product. And the way this works is you go to websites like Alibaba.com, and Alibaba.com will connect you with manufacturers in China and overseas, and they have a list of all the products that they have. So let's say there's like a water bottle, and you want to start selling water bottles on Amazon. You can go there and say, hey, I want to create my own branded water bottle, slap your brand on it, put your own private label on it, sell it on Amazon, and make a profit. Now, there's nothing stopping Connor from taking that exact same water bottle, putting his own brand on it and selling it on Amazon. It won't be on the same listing, it'll be a different listing, but you'll get a ton of competition. And this can work, especially if you can create a really strong brand. Yeah, you can do private label, but there's nothing stopping other people from copying the exact same thing. And that's where what I recommend doing, which I call creating a passion product, comes in. And basically what you want to do is try to improve the product. So instead of just making a water bottle, maybe you realize that people are drinking a gallon of water a day, and you want to create a special water bottle for them. And there's already plastic gallon a day water bottles, so you want to create a metal one. Like, for instance, that's the product that I was looking at buying recently. And on top of that, what you could do is create a really cool brand. So you can sell it on TikTok Shop, on Shopify. You can create a social media following. Gone are the days of just generic BS products. In the past, because there were so many people buying things on Amazon and so few sellers, you could sell junk and you'd be fine. But nowadays, I recommend doing the passion product model.
So finding a passion product and selling that on Amazon really seems like the way to go. It seems like that's where the most opportunity is. But how would myself or someone watching this video go out and find a passion product, an idea for a passion product to sell?
I recommend, as I mentioned, there's a tool, Helium 10. I'm sure Connor will have a link in the description with some kind of discount code or whatever. Use that link to sign up for Helium 10. But this tool, what's cool about it is it will tell you exactly what people are searching for in Amazon. And you got to remember, here's the secret. Like, if there's one thing you take away from this video, it's that Amazon is a search engine. People go to Amazon, they type in exactly what they want to buy, they search for it, and they buy that product. So if you can figure out what people are typing into Amazon, you've got the golden ticket. You've got the master key here. And that's exactly what this tool, Helium 10, does. It tells you, all right, 1,000 people per month are searching for carnivore electrolytes. That's the product that we recently launched. And it was basically people on the carnivore diet, they need an electrolyte supplement, but they don't want just some generic electrolyte supplement. They want something that's perfect for them. So what do? They go to Amazon, they type in those exact words. 1,000 people a month are doing that. So we made a product that's perfect for those people. This is the same thing I did with my nut butter company. It was a keto nut butter. Same thing I did. I created the highest caffeine tea in the world because I saw people were going to Amazon. They were searching highest caffeine tea, and there was no product being sold on Amazon, no product in the world that was made for these people. So don't try to just guess what do people want. Use the data. Now, what I recommend doing, and this is something that a lot of people don't think about, but don't only look at the data, look at something that you're excited about. And that's a lot of times, I partner with a lot of people on products. So for instance, I partnered with someone on the highest caffeine tea. I found someone that was interested. I don't drink a lot of caffeine. I almost drink no caffeine actually. And so I found someone that was very interested in high caffeine. That way he's passionate about it, and we launched that product. Same thing, I was actually really passionate about the nut butter company because I was into like health and nutrition. So use the data. Helium 10, there's a tool called the magnet tool. You'll type in whatever you're interested. For instance, I typed in carnivore diet, and it'll give you, it's freaking magic. It'll give you a list of like other ideas. And one of the ideas that it came up with was carnivore electrolytes. Saw 1,000 people a month are searching for it, gold. So that's really the first step, I think, in finding a product.
Great, yeah. I found my product I sell on Amazon now by searching for keywords I was interested in with the magnet tool in Helium 10 until I found something with high demand and high potential. I was working out a lot, so I was searching for keywords like pre-workout and caffeine, and that's how I stumbled upon the keyword caffeine gum, which had high demand and high potential. So if someone wants to get started selling on Amazon, what would they have to do? Do they have to sign up or apply for something to be able to sell on Amazon's platform?
Yeah, and in some ways, this is actually the real first step for selling on Amazon, and that is to sign up for an Amazon seller account. So to do that, I'm gonna give you some secrets here and some tricks. And warning, like you have to be careful, because if you do this wrong, you can get banned from selling on Amazon. It could be a whole big problem. So this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to sell.amazon.com, and you're gonna see there's actually two options for signing up for a seller account. There's the professional account and the individual seller account. And the thing that no one realizes is the individual seller account is free. Amazon actually hides this feature, but if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see they hide this. Click on apply to be an individual seller, and it's free. Now the problem with the individual seller plan is you do have to pay an extra 99 cents for every item you sell. The professional selling plan, on the other hand, you don't have to pay that extra 99 cents, but you do have to pay $39.99 a month. And keep in mind with both these plans, you're paying Amazon either way. When you sell products on Amazon, they do charge you 15% of the total cost of the product. So if you're selling a $100 product, for instance, every time you make a sell, you're giving Amazon a $15 referral fee. So with the individual plan, if you're just selling some old college textbooks, maybe you're testing out if it's good for you, do the individual plan. Yeah, you're gonna pay that extra 99 cents every time you sell a unit. However, if you're looking to create a legitimate passive income business, you're planning on selling more than 40 units a month, which if you wanna make this your full-time thing, probably gonna sell more than 40 units a month, sign up for the professional plan and you'll click the apply now button. From there, it's gonna ask you a bunch of questions. You don't need to have a business structure like an LLC or a DBA, though I do recommend either signing up for a DBA or an LLC. DBA stands for doing business as, and it's $99 like every 5 years. And this basically just makes it so people can write checks to your business name. That's why it's like, I'm Travis Marziani, but I'm doing business as Passion Products Unlimited. And it also allows you to open up a business bank account, business credit cards. It allows you to financially separate yourself from the business, but it doesn't offer you any legal protection. So if you want legal protection, you do an LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company. You can go to LegalZoom and other websites, I think Wyoming Registered Agent, there's a bunch of them, and that's gonna cost you more money. In California, it's $800 a year. In other states, it's like $250 a year. And this will protect you legally so that if someone tries to sue your business, they can't come after your personal assets. It separates your business and yourself from a legal perspective. So if you're like Connor, you're selling performance gum and you're nervous about someone having 10 pieces of gum and having a heart attack, you want to create an LLC. That way they couldn't come after, Connor's millions of dollars in assets. And that's another thing. Like if you don't have a lot of assets, it might not be as big of a deal. But I'm at a point now where I've got, got some money to my name, and I want to make sure I create separation between myself and my businesses so that if someone sued Rocket Tea, for instance, they can't come after me personally. If someone had 10 Rocket Teas, they're not going to come after me. So you don't need an LLC, you don't need a DBA, but if you're going to do that, I'd recommend doing it before you sign up. And then so you'll need your paperwork, you'll need a little bit of information, you'll fill out all the information in the application. It's not that complicated. It's probably just 30% harder than signing up for an email address or a Facebook account or whatever. And from there, sometimes you'll have to do a call with them, sometimes you won't. But if you do a call, they just tell you, show us your passport, make sure that you're a real person so that you're not some, scammer trying to do something crazy. So I'd say that's really, depending on how you look at it, the first or the second step. I generally recommend to people, find a product first, make sure that this is what you want to do, then apply for your seller account. Even before, and we'll talk about the next steps, before you manufacture your product, before you do anything, you want to sign up for your seller account so that if there is any delays, because sometimes Amazon's a pain in the butt. Like for me, for instance, they're like, we don't really trust you. We don't think that you're a real person. And it took a couple weeks before I was approved. So I recommend doing that just to get started. And keep in mind, they're not going to charge you every month. They only charge you for the first month and then once you start selling. So you might as well just get that out of the way.
So you've got your product idea, you've got your Amazon account set up. What's that next step to starting to sell on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, most people would probably say find a manufacturer, get your product manufactured, and that is true. And I'll talk about that in just a second, but here's a huge thing that a huge mistake, most people overlook this, is I recommend starting to test the water, starting to market your product. Create an Instagram or a TikTok or some kind of social media about your product and just ask people, are you interested in this? And what you're doing is you're growing your product launch group. You're growing your fans. You're growing a group of people that are going to buy your product that once you launch. And the reason I recommend doing that before you actually manufacture your product is maybe no one really wants to buy your product. Or maybe there's some features to your product that people want that you don't know about. If you're Connor, Connor's a huge fan of orange flavored gum, and then he starts talking to everybody, and it actually turns out that people like winter mint or spearmint or whatever, some kind of a mint flavor. He would have made the mistake because he likes orange of making an orange flavored gum, and people would have been like, ew, I don't want that. So if you start marketing and you start growing your group before you manufacture your product, you're going to avoid a lot of mistakes. I also recommend asking people what they think about your brand, what they think about your logo, what they think about your packaging, because once you manufacture your product, it's too late. I mean, you can always change it for future runs, but starting to do that marketing is going to basically make it so you have a better product. And when you do finally go to launch, and we'll talk about launching later, when you do finally go to launch, you're going to have hundreds of people that want to buy your product. I mean, we just launched carnivore electrolytes, and the first day we had almost 40 sales, and we ranked #1 in Amazon because I had a group of people. We had a group of people that were ready to buy the product on the first day. And because of that, now we're ranked #1 in Amazon for carnivore electrolytes, and every single day we're going to get sales of people searching for that. And so you want to do the marketing from day one. You don't want to wait till after you've launched your product to start marketing for your product. You start that before you launch your product.
I built my pre-launch campaign for my product on TikTok and TikTok ads and ended up sending out over 100 samples of gum before launching my product. And each one I was collecting feedback on what people liked about it. And this also gave me 100 supporters that were ready to go come the day I launched on Amazon. Now, as you just mentioned before, the next step as we're going into is manufacturing, getting your product made so you actually have something to sell on Amazon. And so what are the steps involved in doing that?
Yeah, so the first thing you want to ask yourself is, do you want to get your product manufactured in the United States? Keep in mind, that's going to be more expensive, but you get to put the badge made in the USA. Or do you want to get it manufactured overseas? And if you want to get it manufactured overseas, you can get it done in China, or if you're not a fan of China, you can do India, you can do Thailand, you can do Japan. Like there's a bunch of different options. And so I would say, for the most part, you probably want to get it manufactured overseas. There's a reason why all these manufacturing's moved overseas. It's like 1/5 the price. The other thing that you can do is Alibaba, if you're looking to get a product manufactured overseas. And there's a bunch of other alternatives to Alibaba, but Alibaba.com is the biggest one by far. The way this works is you go there, you type in what you're looking for a manufacturer for, you click on manufacturer, because they have, you can either search by product or search by manufacturer. Search by manufacturer, you're going to look at the list of all the different manufacturers. And what I recommend doing is looking at the reviews. They have reviews. You can also look at, are they, I forget the different terms off the top of my head, but there's like different certifications that they have. And one, make sure that there's like some kind of like Alibaba guarantee. And then there's another one that means that someone from the Alibaba team actually went and I think it's like verified supplier. And then there's another one. But and I talk about this videos on my channel. We have a bunch of videos about this. But yeah, you want to see how long they've been in business, how big are they, their reviews, all those kind of different things. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna send a message, no matter what, whether it's in the United States or overseas. You're gonna send a message to this manufacturer and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to get produced. What is, I wouldn't actually say it this way, but you're trying to figure out what is the MOQ, minimum order quantity. And so you're gonna say, hey, I'm trying to get, what I usually like to do is overshoot it and say, I'm trying to manufacture 5,000 of these, but we want to do a test run first to make sure that, the quality's good and all this kind of stuff. How much would it cost to do 100, 300, whatever? What about 1,000 and what about 5,000? And you're going to talk back and forth with them and you're going to ask for a sample. So you're going to say, hey, send me a sample of your product. And a lot of times they'll send you a sample for free. You're just gonna have to pay for the shipping, but that could be like $40 or something. And from there, you just kind of go back and forth, negotiate with them. I would recommend trying to find multiple manufacturers. That way you have negotiation leverage. For instance, one manufacturer might be $5, the other one might be $4, but the $5 one has higher quality. You can tell the $5 one, I want this for $4. Here's another person that can do that. And maybe they can do it, maybe they can't. So yeah, that's how you find a manufacturer.
So what if it doesn't work out on Alibaba, or you have a product that can't get manufactured overseas? What could you do in that case?
Yeah, you can get a product manufactured in the United States by going to sites like thomasnet.com. That's a great way to do it. It's a directory of all the different manufacturers. There's also Google. Literally just type into Google, tea manufacturer, gum manufacturer, gum private labeler. And yeah, I know I'm not a big fan of private labeler, but they still use that in like their name on their listing.
And how do you recommend contacting these manufacturers? Personally, I had to go through a US manufacturer myself as I make a consumable product. So I know some of the challenges that come up when limiting yourself to working within the United States.
A lot of times these companies, if you just message them, the private label company, you message them and say, hey, I want to make some modifications, they'll do it for you. So don't be worried about that. So you can do that. You can also go to conventions. For instance, for food, there's Expo West and Expo East. Whatever kind of product that you're looking to sell, if it's like kitchen utensil, there's a kitchen utensil, expo or convention. You go there, you walk around, you shake hands, you meet everyone. And one thing to keep in mind is a lot of these manufacturers are old school. They don't have good websites. They don't respond to email. You need to get on the phone or you need to show up in person, knock on their door. I mean, you don't always need to knock on their door, but I'd say a phone call goes a long way. And don't be afraid to hound them. Call them every day. If a lot of times if you send one email, they might not respond. I mean, be respectful, but follow up. So what I'd like to do is I'll send an email. If I don't hear back in a week or a few days, I'll send another one. And eventually I'll send an email almost every day like, hey, just checking in. And again, trying to be respectful.
So once someone's found a couple suppliers to compare, what are the things you recommend they look out for when choosing which one of the 2 or 3 or 4 they should work with?
Yeah, I have actually a whole checklist of questions. And I think later in this video, we could probably link, I've got like this 8-hour long course that step-by-step how to sell on Amazon course. But I have a checklist, especially in the Amazon FBA program, Passion Product Formula. Let's put a link if we can in the description. To that. In there, and I'll share some of what's on the checklist. But I have a checklist of things that I ask every manufacturer I work with. One of the big things is, what's your lead time? How long from the point that I pay you is it going to take until you're done manufacturing? Keep in mind, there's also shipping time, and I'm sure we'll talk about shipping later in this video. But what's your lead time? That's a big thing. I mean, what's the cost? Something I like to think about is, what's your margin going to be? So for instance, if you're selling a product for, let's say $20, which at a minimum, when you're selling on Amazon, I recommend selling a product that's over $15 and under $85. We can talk later about some of those things if we want. But anyways, you want to have at least 33% margin, meaning if you're selling let's say you're selling a $30 product, just to make the numbers easy, it can't cost you over $10 because what's going to happen is you're paying $10 to the manufacturer. You're probably going to end up paying around $10 in Amazon fees because there's that 15% fee, plus there's the Amazon FBA pick and pack fee. When I say $10 to manufacturer, that includes your shipping costs, which we'll talk about later. And then you're left with $10 profit for you. At a minimum, I go for 33% margins. If you can get that higher, better. So for instance, let's say you're selling a product for $30. If you can find it for $5, including shipping, now you went from having, I mean, the math's kind of complicated there, but you can do the math and figure out what it is. You're making, before the Amazon fees, you're making $25 profit. So you're probably left with, $15 profit in this case. So that's a big thing that you want to look for. Some other things, you want to make sure that they're friendly, that you have a good rapport, that they're responding relatively quickly because they're going to tell you that their lead time is 6 weeks. It's not going to be. It's going to end up being 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. Whatever they tell you, assume it's going to be longer. But also, when you email them, do they treat you like a big fish? Do they treat you like a big deal? Because if they don't care about you before you even place the order, once you give them your money, they're going to care about you even less.
So after they get their product manufactured, how does shipping work? Do manufacturers help with shipping? Do they provide this? Or do you need to go with another service provider to get your product from China back over to the US?
Yeah, it completely depends on the manufacturer. I've worked with some manufacturers that they'll handle everything for you, and that makes it easy. I've worked with other manufacturers that they won't handle it for you, but they'll refer you to a different company. And there's been other manufacturers that I've worked with overseas that basically just say, I don't know, you figure it out. And you can hire like a third party, like logistics type company to come handle all that kind of stuff. In the United States, if you have a manufacturer, there's, I think like Freightos.com is a website that you can just, it's really simple. You just type in the address of your manufacturer, the address of where you want to get it shipped to, whether it's your house or somewhere else. Now, and that's another thing we can talk about is sometimes if you have your product manufactured over China, if you want to get it shipped directly into the Amazon warehouse, you can hire an inspector in China to go. It's like $100, not a lot of money, and they're super detailed. They'll give you a report that's so detailed. They'll take photos. They'll test all the products. So I recommend doing that and just shipping it directly into Amazon. But if you're nervous, if it's your first time, get it shipped to your house first. Test it. It's also kind of cool to just be able to like hold it, inspect it yourself. Same thing if you're getting it manufactured in the United States, you can have it shipped to yourself or directly into the Amazon warehouse. But that's the cool thing is like as you get more advanced in this, you don't even need to ship it to yourself. Like it's completely automated and you can do this from anywhere in the world. And one thing to keep in mind if you're shipping a product from overseas into the United States, there's two ways that you can do it. You can do it via air shipping, which is going to be fast, but it's going to be way more expensive, or you can do it via sea shipping, which is going to be slow, but it's so much cheaper. And it really depends. Like I've done both for different scenarios. If you're in a rush, if you're trying to get your product out before Christmas, which has happened to me, what you can also do is a mix. So like maybe you do 500 units via air shipping so that you're there in time for the Christmas rush so you can launch it earlier, and you do the other 1,000, 1,500 via sea. Or if you just plan ahead accordingly, you can do it all via sea. And that's why I recommend like get started on this as soon as possible. And actually one of the mistakes that I'll share that I see so many beginner Amazon sellers making is analysis paralysis. You're watching this video right now. Congratulations, you're already like way ahead of most people. Most people, they launch on Amazon without even thinking about it and they fail because they've never put any thought on it. But the other mistake that people make is putting way too much thought into it. Analysis paralysis, never launching their product. And I'll share, for me with Performance Nut Butter, my first product that was making me 6 figures passive income, I had the idea a year before I started working on the business. And I waited because I was scared of losing money. I was scared of making a mistake. In my head, I'm like, what if I make a mistake and it cost me $10,000? That was so much money to me at the time. But what I didn't realize is once I launched, I made $100,000, which means if I would have launched a year earlier, I would have made an extra $100,000. So actually, by waiting a year, that mistake cost me $100,000. If I had two different identical Travises, one that launched it right away and maybe even made a mistake and one that waited a year like I did, that guy that waits a year loses out, has $100,000 less money. So every minute, every second that you're waiting, you're losing money. And just using my example there, if I would have started that business a year earlier and I would have made a mistake that did cost me $10,000, I still would have an extra $90,000 in my bank account because I would have made $100,000 in profit minus the $10,000 mistake. So don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. We're going to give you all the other steps of how to launch on Amazon. But the biggest mistake that you can make is not taking action. So yeah.
So after making sure everything is good, you've got your product, I think this next part is where it gets a lot more exciting, and I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, so creating a listing on Amazon is something that a lot of people don't think about, but you have to list your product on Amazon. I actually was just filmed a 40-minute video on like step-by-step how to do this, but part of hacking the system when selling on Amazon, as I said earlier, it's a search engine. People go to Amazon to search for products they want to buy. You can hack the algorithm. You can get your product to the top of the search results. And the first part of this is to create a listing for your product that Amazon wants to put at the top of the search results. So how do you do that? Well, you need to realize that there's these things called search phrases. This is like, what are people searching for in Amazon in order to find your product? And that tool I mentioned earlier, Helium 10, actually shares how to do this. Again, Connor will put a link in the description. It's a great tool. Like, I highly recommend signing up for it because it'll tell you everything that people are searching for in order to find your product. What you're going to do, this is the gold. once you figure out what people are searching for in order to find your product, you're going to put those phrases in your title. So for instance, with Rocket Tea, the highest caffeine tea in the world, we put the first 3 words we put in there are high caffeine tea or highest caffeine, I don't remember now. High caffeine tea, and then we put other words that we saw people were searching for. Energy, people were looking for energy tea. All these different things, we put that in the title. You're also gonna put those in the bullet points, which I'll talk about in just a second. But the other thing you have to think about is your main image. You want your main image to pop. And before, when you'd search for high caffeine tea, like none of the products really were obvious that they were high caffeine tea. So what we did is we made our product black packaging with red letters that said high caffeine tea. And the product pops. Meaning when you're searching for high caffeine tea, it's obvious you're gonna click on our product. And so that's the main image. That's probably the most important part of this entire thing. Title, as I already mentioned, is second. And then once people click on the listing, you have the main image, you have the title, you also have all the side images. I've got videos going into depth about how to make good side images. The short answer is you wanna show the benefits of your product. You wanna show, people are gonna scroll over those because people can't hold your product in their hand when they're buying something online. And so they want to see what's it going to be like to own this product. And if you remember, I don't know, back in the old days, maybe you guys are too young for this, but like selling things on eBay, I remember that people would sell things on eBay without an image. And it felt so weird. Maybe they sell like a textbook on eBay. And you're like, I hope this is the right thing. And then I remember at one point people started taking photos and you would see a photo of it, but it would be only from one angle. And you're like, what does the back look like? What's the front look like? Can you open it up, make sure there's no damages? So you want to give enough photos that people feel comfortable in buying your product, that they can imagine what it's going to be like to own your product. There's also the bullet points, and the bullet points are another way for you to sell your product. You can talk about the benefit of your product, and there's the description. There's a bunch of other things to making your listing, but really, main image, number 1 priority. Title, second. All the side images, third. Bullet points, fourth. Description, and so on.
So how does a 7-figure Amazon seller do his listing images?
Yeah, so one of the big things that I do is computer-generated images. And you don't even know. Like, here, we'll put some images on the screen. These are all computer-generated. They're not actually photos. And the reason that you do this is you can get perfect lighting. It's very easy to do. You can do things with a computer-generated image that you can't do with real photos. Like, for instance, with cocktail cards, we wanted all the cards fanned out. And we tried doing that with a camera and lighting, and it looked really awkward and terrible. So yeah, computer generated images. Though I do recommend some of the side photos. Maybe you do have some like lifestyle photos, someone like eating your product or like drinking it, and you can hire photographers. You can also, here's a hack, you can send your product out to influencers. And when I say influencers, I mean people that have under 100,000 followers. And a lot of times they'll take photos of your product for free to post on their Instagram, to post on their TikTok. You can then ask them for permission, but use those photos on your listing. That's what I did with Performance Nut Butter, actually.
Now, all that sounds great, but another big thing is reviews. Now,
Yeah.
a big mistake I made when I was first starting out was I didn't pay attention to my reviews a lot, and they got very low, and this cost me a ton of sales. And I know a lot of other people in the same boat that are having trouble getting the reviews that they want. So what are your strategies for getting reviews to your product, and specifically good reviews to your product?
Yeah, you want to get as many 5-star reviews as you can. I mean, look, I've had products that have 5-star rating, but eventually almost everyone loses that. It's very hard to keep a 5-star. Even if you have an amazing product, people like leaving 1-star reviews. So generally, you got to get at least that 4.5-star average. So what I recommend doing when you first launch a product is basically have friends, family, your launch group buy the product and tell them to leave reviews. Now, you don't want to have anyone that's ever shared your Wi-Fi with you buy your product, though I know a lot of people that have done this and they haven't had any issues. But you know, what I've done before is go to the gym, go out to like social events, and this is not supposed to do this. This is against the terms of service, but it freaking works and there's no way Amazon's going to find out. You go and you tell people, hey, will you buy my product on Amazon? I'm going to Venmo you the money right now. You got to promise me that you're going to leave a 5-star review. And what you're going to do is get their number, get their information, and then a week later be like, hey, Susan, thanks for buying that product and promising to leave a 5-star review. Here, I wrote a review, write it for them. Don't make them write it for them, send it to them and give them instructions on how to leave a review. And then if they don't respond to you, follow up a couple days later, be like, hey, I just wanted to follow up. Did you leave that review? And just keep following up with them. I mean, obviously if it's a friend, maybe don't be as ruthless, but you're giving them a free product in exchange for a review. That's the deal. So that's what I like to do. If you want to get 5-star reviews, that's what everyone does. Like honestly, anyone that has less than 100 reviews on their listing, they're not trying. because you should, every time you go anywhere, just tell people, will you buy my product, and leave a 5-star review. So that's what I like to do. In the long run, obviously though, that's not sustainable. You do need to create marketing. You do need to create some demand. You want to create a tribe of people that love your freaking product, that are just going to leave a review for free. They're going to buy your product and leave that 5-star review and ask. That's actually the biggest thing here. Ask. Most people don't ask for the review. Most people don't ask for things in life that they want. Ask for what you want and you shall receive.
That sounds like a really great strategy that a lot of people can use to help them out. But what else can you do to ensure that your launch goes as smoothly as possible?
It's all about the lead up. So when you think about, like, Dune 2 came out recently, and imagine a world where they didn't advertise at all. That the day that Dune 2 launched, they just said, oh, by the way, it's in theaters. How big would that box office weekend be? 1/10 the size? People would be like, oh, I've got plans, I'm busy. But what they do is months ahead of time, they let everyone, maybe even years, but like at least months ahead of time, they're letting everyone know Dune 2 coming out, whatever, March 15th. I don't know what the date is. Coming out March 15th. And then what happens is people get excited, and there starts to be like people pre-buying their tickets, and they have all the actors go on all the talk shows. There's this whole marketing campaign. You want to do the same thing with your product. Months before you launch it, you want to get people excited. You want to get people engaged. That's why you want to start asking people questions. Hey, what do you think of my branding? What do you think of the product? What do you think of my Amazon listing? And what I recommend doing, here's a hack. Here's a hack for human psychology. Don't ask them to buy your product. Ask them, what do you think of your product? And then on the day of, you can ask people to buy. But if you're ever nervous, don't ask people to buy. Just say like, hey, I just launched on Amazon. Could you check out the listing and like let me know what you think, like how it could be better? What's going to end up happening is people that are going to buy are still going to buy when you do that. And they may also give you some feedback. So if there's people that you're nervous about asking to buy, that's a good little hack.
That's a really great strategy that sounds like it's going to ensure that you're successful when you're launched and not leave anything up to chance. Now, as promised, I told you I was going to get Travis to reveal his #1 secret for selling on Amazon in 2024. And Travis, what is that secret?
Yeah, I'll actually give you 2 secrets. One is that you can't just keep selling junk on Amazon. There's a ton of YouTubers out there, there's a ton of gurus out there teaching these outdated methods for selling on Amazon because they had success with it years ago. And yeah, I know my first passion product I launched 5 years ago, had a ton of success, but since then I've had a ton of students that have replicated the success. I had Brent, who I taught how to sell on Amazon. Last year he did over $1 million in sales. And the cool thing about his story is he did that while he had a full-time job as a first responder helicopter pilot, and he was raising 2 kids. So if you don't think you have enough time in order to be able to launch a product on Amazon, it's not true. I also taught AJ how to do this, and he didn't have any money. He lost his job as a bartender, and he wanted a way to pay the bills. So I taught him this exact method. He did over $500,000 in his first year, and he raised all the money he needed in order to create his product by launching an Indiegogo, which is a way to crowdfund a product, meaning that you don't have to spend any money. You can get other people to pre-purchase your product for you. So if you don't think you have enough time, that's not an excuse. If you don't think you have enough money, that's not an excuse. You can still use this method for selling on Amazon. And the second secret that I'd recommend that I see so many people, a big mistake that so many people make is a lot of people don't have a plan. They don't follow like a step-by-step formula.
And the most important thing that you can do to sell on Amazon is to click here and watch Travis's full free 8-hour course where he'll take you through every step of the process for launching on Amazon, from that product ideation to that launch strategy to every part of the way. Click right here. It's also down there in the description. And with that being said, I will see you guys next video.